So, the pilgrim's path, what is it and how do you start? My name is Karen, founder of the Peaceful Pilgrim, and everything that I do is about helping people step into and find their peace, joy, and passion. So, the pilgrim's path has three main components. The first one is to follow your own spirit. Follow what brings you joy, what brings you passion, what makes you alive, what fills your heart full of energy, where you feel in the flow, where you feel time disappears, where you can really be authentically yourself. It's that moment where nothing else matters, doesn't matter what people think, doesn't matter what the trends are, doesn't matter what people say. You just love doing what you do, you love being who you're being, and you just are your fullest expression of who you are. And this for me is where you follow your spirit, what's on your heart, what you want to do for yourself. The second part is to walk out in faith. So it's to walk every day in spirit, which might feel detached from that for you at the moment. But my intention for the Peaceful Pilgrim, and as you're walking your pilgrimage, is for you to create a life where you can more fully express who you are and reduce the noise and the distractions and the blocks that take you away from who you are. So walking out in faith, once you commit to being who you are, being your fullest authentic self, then walking out in those footsteps and aiming to be your fullest version of who you are. And then the third component is the daily walking, that one step in front of the other. Sometimes life is challenging. Even when we find our passion and purpose, that does not mean we won't be tested. I think people are under the impression that being peaceful is a state of being all the time. And whilst I agree you can be peaceful all the time, it doesn't mean your nervous system isn't activated, challenged, you know, as you walk through life. Life happens, life is messy, life can be difficult, challenging. Sometimes as we become more authentic in who we are, we have to let go of who we were. And that might mean saying goodbye and letting go. So I really wanted to talk to you about those three main components and then perhaps how you can start your next steps. So let's think about the first bit, our own spirit. So when we were younger, the chances are, as little children, we freely were who we were, whether we were into dancing, messing around, being outside, being inquisitive, loving insects, enjoying water, whatever it was. Most children enjoy something fairly elemental, and you can see in children their personalities fairly early. What's that saying? Show me the boy and I'll show you the man. So by the age of 7-year-old, we already are showing signs of who we are. Some people may be extroverted, playful, loud, funny, whatever it might be. So our signs for who we are at our core can be found usually back then, in those times when we were younger, carefree. If you ask any of your older family members, parents, carers, teachers, neighbours, what was I like as a child, they will probably be able to give you an overview, So uncovering who we are at our core is really the first aspect. And that's not always an easy thing to do when we live in a society which asks you to conform very, very early. If your parents were worried about conforming, they would have instilled conformity into you very early. Your please, your thank yous, what's your manners, do as you're told, don't do this, do that, you know, elbows off the table, whatever it was. So we can quite often end up pleasing other people before we please ourselves. And we are rewarded for that. And as we grow and age, those rewards become greater for conforming and following somebody else's viewpoint. And those people who decide not to can be seen as mavericks, outsiders, troublemakers, disruptors, just weird and kooky, extrovert, and maybe even a little eccentric. And any of those things nowadays tend not to be celebrated unless you become on social media or whatever. So really, the first thing we have to do is start to excavate who we are, what we like, what we enjoy, what lights us up, what makes us feel alive, what makes us feel passionate, and then start to break down and destruct and question those things that we do that we don't necessarily enjoy, or that don't light us up, or that don't make us feel alive. So that's the first aspect. So finding our joy, our passion, and our purpose. So the next thing that we have to do, once we've found who we feel we are, is start to bring more of that into our lives. And so we need to start to walk out in our new, what would be new to other people's eyes, which for us will be more authentic. And that can be challenging in itself. So if your whole life has been built around conforming and all of a sudden you want to be or do something completely differently, you will come up against a lot of challenges, a lot of roadblocks, a lot of mockery, maybe, people trying to dissuade you, you know, important people to you, family, partners. You know, you may have to put yourself and your needs first, which will change and influence your relationships around you. And all these things have to be navigated. So the pilgrim's path can be really challenging, and to stay peaceful on the path, you have to have trust and faith in your own spirit, but also in the knowledge that your spirit belongs to a bigger, wider spirit, universe, source, faith, if you believe in that. And you don't have to believe in that, but it's a useful belief to have. So you don't have to believe there's a thing, but believing that if you believe in yourself, the world will move and bend to your belief in self to allow you to be realized in self. So walking out with faith means that no matter what you're faced with, you believe in your heart and soul and in an external energy that being all of who you are is allowed and is a destiny, and those people who are meant to be with you will be with you, and those people who are not will slowly drift, ebb away. And that can be really challenging. So having that faith and holding on to your direction, your intention, and being all of who you are can be challenging for you. It's challenging for everybody else, but it's also very challenging for you. And then the third component is doing the daily things that need to happen in order to realize your vision, goal, intention, lifestyle, whatever it is for you. So that means in that, you know, daily, your daily choices that you choose for yourself. And when I talk about the 7 principles of peaceful living, number 1 is accountability. And I would say that every day be accountable for the choices that you choose to make. Making no choice is a choice in itself. Sounds cliche, but it's true. So if you want to move closer to the lifestyle that you want, you have to make those choices to show up and do what you need to do in order to realize that. You also have to be mindful to choose not to do other things to allow you the time to do your new things, whatever that might be. So for example, today, me just making this video. So I'm new to doing all the social media. I believe in everything I'm talking about passionately. I have a wealth of knowledge and experience, and it still would be easier for me to go and start washing up or tidying up than having to make myself sit and do this video. So I've made myself do it. So there's a discipline and there's a choice and being accountable. If you want a different life, if you want to be all of who you are, you have to show up and be that every day in whatever task is required of you every day. You also have to be mindful where you don't choose it sometimes, and that's okay. None of us are perfect, but hold yourself to account and make yourself realize where that's happening too. Okay, so they're the three main aspects, and that's really broad stroke, and it's not about changing overnight. They're the three elements that I see. So the first for a pilgrim's path is know what's in your heart. Then you have to decide where you're going to walk out, where are you going, what's your intention for yourself, what does that life look like where you're being authentically you. And then it's the daily, right? What am I doing today? What do I have to do tomorrow? What do I have to do the next day to make that be realized? And it's about building more of that into your world, and all the noise, distraction, reducing that away from your world as you move forward. And trusting that God, source, spirit, the universe has your back, and whatever is thrown at you is meant to help you, support you, develop you, teach you, so that you can be shaped, molded into that version of you which was always there, it was always meant to be. Go to my website, www.thepeacefulpilgrim.co.uk, and there you will find there's a downloadable, The 7 Principles of Peaceful Living. It breaks down what I've just said into 7 principles, which should you adopt and live by those principles, you cannot help but be all of who you are as you move forward in life. I truly believe that when we are living from our heart, living in our joy and our passion and our purpose, whatever that is, we are happy, we are centered, we are grounded, we are helpful, we are kind, we are friendly, we are compassionate and empathic to other people, because we have no reason to not be. When we are living in a competitive world where greed and need is more important individually than a collective, then that's where life becomes competitive and combative. So for me personally, on a very small scale, I truly believe that when we are following our purpose and our passion, we are nicer people. A peaceful planet needs peaceful people. And my job is to help those people that want to make that journey, make it one step at a time. If you want to know more, like, subscribe, follow, comment, all of those things that are required on social media, and we can keep in touch. Have a good day.